Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Good Morning Soul. And it is 6 in the morning when I am recording this, and I've noticed the only bad thing about recording these early in the morning is my voice is still waking up. Sometimes I'm really nasally. It just doesn't come out quite as good. I've noticed the best versions of these are the ones that come out when I'm full energy, kind of 11 a.m., 1 p.m., those kind of hours. And so I would only record those hours, but I need to get these done as fast as I can. So that's not a luxury I have. So 6 a.m. podcast, here we go. So today I wanted to talk about getting into cooking, and I wouldn't say I'm even into cooking. I've said this before, but for my job, I have to cook all day, every day. And when I get home, I don't want to come home and fucking cook more. But that being said, the idea of just cooking in general, absolutely. If I had all the time in the world, I would cook every day. If there was 50-hour days, I would spend at least an hour a day cooking, because what's wrong with that? But the only problem with that is, to cook every day, you have to have, a organized grocery list. You have to have, an organized, okay, I'm going to get all these ingredients, and then you have to make sure all your ingredients don't expire, and then you got to dirty up, at least, a couple pots and pans and a couple plates to cook whatever you're going to cook. And then sometimes with Thanksgiving, it's you're using every single pot and pan, and you gotta make sure it's all warm by the time that people are ready to eat. So you're kind of making it all at once. It can be a very stressful process. But that being said, I do enjoy cooking. I really I can't do this anymore because at my job, back in the day we would just eat whatever we want, and now we have to write out the tickets. So the days of me just making random foods and just meshing them together, I remember I made just weird stuff, weird random foods, and I still like doing that. I just like making random egg burritos and stuff that people probably don't normally eat, and stuff like that, and that fun experimentation, and when the experimentation actually can create a pretty cool food. That's the coolest thing ever. And I whenever I get to at work, I get to make kind of different things that aren't normally on the menu, for specials, stuff like that, because that's always kind of oh, everyone gets to try my new whatever it is. What did I make that one time? I forget what it was, but it went over really well. But yeah, I'm not a food nerd. I don't watch Food Network. I don't do any of that. Growing up, my mom was a single parent, and she didn't really know how to cook either. We definitely grew up on TV dinners and stuff like that. A lot of snack food. I made myself a lot of sandwiches and ramen noodles and stuff like that. And so and my dad, back when he was around, he knew how to cook, but I don't remember him making that many meals. I do remember him making some bomb meals. He made these deluxe waffles. He went all out one night. I remember the seafood thing. So when he did cook, I do remember he made some good food. He was pretty. I think he worked at a in food at one point. I don't know I don't know the details, but I think he worked in food at one point. So maybe that rubbed off on me. But my mom, not the biggest cook. I do remember her making lots of spaghetti, stuff like that. But she wasn't this let's make food for the boys every night kind of person. And that's because she was busy doing other shit. She had more important shit. So not throwing shade at all. If I was in her situation, I probably would have made less food. So growing up, I didn't know how to cook either, and so I just kind of grew up on that, and no one ever showed me how to cook, and people just kind of expected me to learn at some point. And when I got my like job in food, it was kind of like I had this like I had this weird idea where I just hated cooking. Like I never learned how to cook. No one showed me how. Blah 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 blah. Which don't ever have that attitude. Don't have that attitude with anything in life, especially like with preparing how to like make the things that you need to survive. Like if the Stone Age happens, you should probably learn at least basic cooking skills. Like I'm fucked because I don't know how to hunt or do it or garden, but at least I can like put it over a fire with a pan or something. You know, that's one thing I could probably do. But going back a little bit, so when I got this job, I was kind of just like, well, fuck, I have to learn how to cook because, you know, I started as a dishwasher, but I was still like, I was in that stage where it was like, I was very scared to touch the food. I was very scared to do this and that. Whereas nowadays, I'm just flinging shit left and right. But part of that came because, like, I didn't even take, like, culinary classes. And I didn't take those classes in high school because I was like, I don't need to learn how to cook because I know I'm never going to have a job in that, which is ironic because that's what I ended up doing. And that seems like it'll be my career for at least the next couple years. So, growing up doing that, having that attitude, like, really bit me in the foot. And really all the cooking skills I learned was from this job. And so I literally was able to take that and use it at home. But really, cooking, no matter what it is, like, people, like, have, like, oh, I don't know how to cook. Like, I can't do this, I can't do that. Half of what cooking is literally putting it in a pan with water and heating it up. If you know how to make ramen noodles, you know how to make like half the food out there. If you know how to make ramen noodles, that means you know how to make rice. That means you know how to thaw out like most of the food. You can make green beans, you can make a bunch of other shit. A lot of mashed potatoes just come in bags that you can put in water or like just put it in the microwave. Whether it be a stove or a stovetop, that's how you're cooking it. So as long as you know how to do that. Like I was weird, like I knew how to do baking stuff. Like I knew how to make like brownies and shit as a kid. But like brownies is probably more complicated than like half of the food you'll make on a daily basis. Like spaghetti, if you don't know how to make spaghetti, you just heat up the fucking noodles. You just put it in water, you boil it, you like throw some meat on the stovetop, wait till it's, you know, ready, and then you heat up some tomato sauce. That's it. You're just heating up shit and then putting it together. And you might be like, oh, I don't know how long to leave it on. No matter what it is, if it's boiling and it looks ready, then it's probably ready. You know, with things like meat, that's when you gotta be careful. Like hamburger meat, like don't ever serve undercooked hamburger. But like if it's brown, like, and there's no more pink, that means you're probably good. But yeah, I didn't want this to become like a cooking tips show, but yeah, that was that was how I got into cooking, and I still like enjoy the aspect of cooking. It's just like I don't like doing it at home because it's like it takes up an hour of my day. Let's say, you know, counting, you know, washing the dishes or whatever. And it's like, I only have like, how many hours in a day? Like, let's say I work, like 8 hours, and then I sleep for 7 hours. That's 15. I gotta drive home, like to and back from work. That's 16. Let's say I gotta shower and just do like chores or whatever. That's 17. So I have like 7 hours, not even, of like bullshit. So if I waste, like, I get to do 7 things a day, like not even. So it's kind of like, why do I want to waste one of my few things I get to do that day on cooking, right? So yeah, that's my podcast on cooking. It is really early in the morning, if you couldn't tell. Anyway, thank you for listening, guys, as always. I'll see you tomorrow in tomorrow's episode, and until then, with that, I leave you.